The waters of Sabine Pass, Texas were calm. Visibility was perfect, stretching for 10 nautical miles under scattered clouds. A United States Coast Guard cutter was hard at work, restoring order after the chaos of a hurricane. In these ideal conditions, a collision between two professional vessels should be impossible. And yet, it happened. Not once, but twice. How? Investigators would uncover that the cause wasn't a sudden squall or a critical gear failure. It was a cascade of human errors, rooted in a single, flawed assumption. In this story, there are two key players. First, the United States Coast Guard cutter Harry Claiborne, a 175-foot public vessel. Her crew of 24 was on a critical mission, servicing navigation buoys that had been shifted by Hurricane Delta just 2 days prior. They were the experts, restoring the very lines that keep other ships safe. Their path was about to be crossed by the Cheramie Bo-Truc No. 33, a rugged 168-foot offshore supply vessel. With a small crew of 5, she was a workhorse, heading outbound on a routine trip to service Gulf of Mexico oil platforms. One vessel was stationary, restoring order. The other was underway, following the rules of the road. An everyday scene in any busy waterway. But a dangerous idea was forming in the mind of one of the captains. The first link in the chain was a disastrous assumption. The captain of the Cheramie knew the hurricane had wreaked havoc. He looked ahead and saw the Harry Claiborne working near buoy 27. He told investigators he assumed the buoy had been pushed into the channel. He therefore believed the safe water was now on the outside of the buoy. Although his vessel had an electronic chart system that could display AIS targets, the captain of the Cheramie was not monitoring it. The next link was a fateful radio call. At 15:40, the captain of the Cheramie called the cutter. He proposed a one-whistle passing arrangement. This meant he intended to overtake the cutter on its starboard side, the side that was directly adjacent to the shallow water outside the channel. Then came the final, critical link, professional deference. On the bridge of the Harry Claiborne, the crew heard the request. The officer of the deck later told investigators he found the arrangement kind of odd. The deep, safe water was wide open on their port side, but they didn't question it. The conning officer said, "They navigate these channels way more than we do." They assumed the local captain knew best. On the radio, they replied, "Roger, sir, come on one." The stage was set. The disaster was no longer just possible, it was inevitable. As the Cheramie veered out of the channel, its captain's assumption met reality. The reading on his depth sounder began to drop, fast. He was about to run his vessel hard aground. Realizing his mistake, he made a desperate move. He threw the engines in reverse and swung the rudder hard to port, trying to get back to the safety of the channel and away from the mudflats. But it was too late. At 15:44, traveling at 6 knots, the bow of the supply vessel sliced into the stern of the Coast Guard cutter. The initial collision was just the beginning. The impact sent the boat truck careening into the mudflats where it grounded. For 45 minutes, its captain worked to break free. But they never coordinated a plan with the cutter they had just hit. As they finally broke free, the strong 1.2 knot ebb current grabbed the vessel. It acted like an invisible hand, pushing the supply ship sideways and right back into the stationary cutter. A second impact. A third crewman was injured. The situation had gone from bad to horrible. In the aftermath, investigators faced a stark question. How did this happen twice? Their investigation was methodical, and the conclusion was damning. They determined the probable cause of the initial collision was the offshore supply vessel captain's assumption of the stationary cutter's position, which led to his decision to pass the vessel outside the channel. He was simply wrong. The buoy hadn't moved. The cutter was exactly where it was supposed to be. But the blame didn't stop there. A key contributing factor was the cutter crew not questioning the passing arrangement. Their deference to perceived local knowledge had silenced their own better judgment. And the cause of the second collision? A lack of coordination and communication between the two vessel operators. They were working against each other, not with each other, in a dangerous situation they had mutually created. There are no specific safety recommendations in this report because the rules that were broken are among the most fundamental in all of seamanship. The first lesson is a direct echo of the first failure. Never assume. Verify. The captain of the Cheramie had an electronic chart system that could have shown him exactly where the cutter was in relation to the channel. He relied on a guess instead. The second lesson is for the cutter's crew. Always speak up. An odd feeling, a moment of confusion, a plan that doesn't seem right? That is the moment to question, not to comply. And the final lesson from that second grinding impact is the simplest of all. Communicate. When things go wrong, the first step to making them right is talking to the other people involved. In the end, 3 Coast Guard crew members suffered minor injuries. The total damage to both vessels was estimated at over $500,000. The Cheramie sustained a fractured bulwark on its bow. The Harry Claiborne suffered significant damage to its portside plating, framing, and to one of its Z-drive propulsion units. Both vessels managed to return to port on their own power for extensive repairs. Both have since returned to service, but they carry the scars and the story of a day when 2 professional crews collided. The story of these 2 collisions is a direct result of poor communication. I believe the point of no return was when both crews assumed the other knew what they were doing and did not communicate to confirm their assumption. The Harry Claiborne assumed the Cheramie knew the area, and the Cheramie assumed where the channel marker should have been. Both vessels made poor assumptions which led to a collision. What do you think was the single most critical failure? Was it the initial assumption or the failure to question it? Share your analysis in the comments below. This channel is dedicated to analyzing these events through the eyes of a current mariner and to ensure these lessons are learned and never forgotten.